that they want.
That's right. That's right. that does not happen. Let's not.
Yeah, these are just jokes, right? You want to start on phaze?
You gotta fucking classify. Put a disclaimer. Yes, put a phaze first.
All right, phaze. Phaze sounds good. Yeah, man. Here we go. Phaze, RMV, both with a lot of history. I think this is gonna be a top kek match. You know, phaze suffering some burnout, you know, a couple months ago, but glad to see him back here competing. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame we got to get these guys playing the second round because, again, they're both very much potential contenders to actually taking the whole thing, but only one person will walk away and have a chance at winning it.
If it was second round or winner's bracket, I mean, there's really no difference. I mean, well, that's not true. I mean, we can talk about all the things that could happen in a tournament, the ebbs and flows. Maybe phaze had 3 amazing matches and he feels amazing. So yeah, that was dumb for me to say. That's not what I meant. But you're, in essence, you're correct. It's only one of them are gonna make it anyway.
Yeah. I like
what a rail there.
Wow. Sick rail by RMV. I was gonna say I really like what phaze is doing at the start. Notice how he's really pressuring with the rail, with the LG. Sorry, kind of adding pressure for RMV's rail, which is definitely one of his better weapons. So I like that. Yeah, good attack, just didn't work out.
Yeah, they're moving around. They're really rotating around each other right now, trying to see. This area always scares me when I'm playing. If I want to try and get that green armor up there, I'm always got a tight butthole because I'm like, I could get railed because I can't hear anybody over there. So
this map is a little bit PTSD inducing. You got to kind of be ready for them to always have the nice angle, but RMV with the trap, 3 nice shotguns.
Yep.
And gonna close another kill.
Had he stayed in that position, he was ready for it, but had he stayed there, would that have been an insta-gib?
If you stand close enough, but it's you gotta stand pretty tight. Like you gotta be standing on it, basically. Gotcha. Doesn't feel always great.
Okay, it's still heavy here. Oh, I thought he was gonna make it out of there. Refrag potential, but Peeker makes it not happening. Alright, Zeniku, you're 2 minutes, 25 seconds into the map, you're 4 frags down on ruins. What do you do?
Slow it down immediately. I mean, the thing is, like, I know it's only 2 minutes 30 in, but if you haven't been trading too well, and if RMV's feeling hot like he is, then you gotta need to, you know, stop the water from running in a sense, because if you're not trading as well as he is, and he's just doing more damage, you're never gonna kill him. And essentially, phaze at the moment, RMV's hitting every single rail when he's attacking. Does have a good angle here. Phaze actually will get it. So that's
I'm confused actually. I guess that's the rockets on stairs thing.
Oh yeah. Gets awkward.
It's like the rocket hits the stair above the dudes, so it's not a full splash damage type thing.
But at the moment, phaze not hitting too many rails. He will connect that one.
Yeah, he's having an issue right now.
I don't know how I feel about this. Mega is definitely up.
Here we go.
RMV is gonna drop into it. So okay, phaze going from 4-0 down to now making only 2 frag the difference, and he will
in a minute.
Heavy here.
In a minute.
But at the moment, I think the biggest clincher for me is RMV just stopped connecting, and phaze in the last minute or two, really connecting a lot with connecting with his rails. So
if you get into that position hold on, see what happens here. I thought he would have. Well, I guess it made sense not to pursue there. Well, oh, okay. He'll only get in the head heavy anyway. That's cool. The power of anarchy right there. Yeah, what I wanted to say, so if you find yourself in this situation where you went from, all my rails are connecting to, awesome, I can't hit anything. Do you need to, like, okay, new plan of action, I'm not going to rely on hitting opening damage with my rail, I need to just, what do I do?
There's usually a case for it though. Sometimes it can be the server, but a lot of the time it's because you're just rushing it. And it's more about like kind of just getting, recollecting yourself and actually enabling to get yourself in position where, it's a 90% chance you're gonna hit him. You just have your crosshair there and he just crosses it, right? Don't stop trying to do all this crazy shit. And see, moments like this, let's see how phaze goes. He's trying to rail, he hasn't connected any so far. RMV pressuring.
He's in a very bad position here. Yeah.
And there you go.
Yep.
Because that angle was much tighter to hit compared to all the other ones he'd been going for, so...
And then he knows, but every time. And just that little situation there. Now, goodbye map control as an anarchy. Struggle busing it now. Don't drop down. But I get... Oh, he was waiting for this. Okay. How come 2 shotguns did like 40 damage? Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, it didn't look... I think he missed the first one entirely, it felt like, but...
Brutal. Yeah, this small is not gonna...
I think RMV making a small mistake with the item control, but he will connect that rail. And
well, is it true that like, if you're just at the bottom there first for the heavy, like that's yours?
You're in a pretty good spot. I wouldn't say it's entirely, because I think it depends on stack and how quick you attack, but generally it's pretty hard to attack into heavy on this map for sure. Ooh, both players so low here.
Yeah, if only phaze knew how low RMV is right now. Actually, a lot of balls in RMV just to kind of sit there and be like, come at me.
Ooh, too much of a risk. I think he tried to think he could just get away and just shotgun him there, but actually phaze is gonna push into Mega. Sorry, RMV is gonna be there.
Yep. Did the... Go ahead.
I said I didn't mind the movement there. phaze tried to do this cute little trick. Did a vertical drops right into the heavy, but RMV obviously very ready for it.
Yep. Wow. Jesus, how fast you can just get 4 frags. Man.
What I wanted to say earlier, one of the things I think with phaze in this pick is that, Anarchy is probably one of phaze's better picks, I would say. He's more comfortable with the CPM champs, but this is the thing. When you go against the guy where RMV's best weapon is the rail, and when you're playing a light champ where rails are very, like, if the other guy is hitting him, it becomes very difficult. And as we can see, he's keeping phaze always very soft or very low. And, yeah, it's 11 to 5, 7.5 minutes, so...
Stopwatch. I mean, we're kind of past the threshold. I mean, I guess if we're... He's got about 30 seconds to make something happen, kind of.
Yeah.
And then RMV would just have to literally fuck up epically 5 times in a row. I just don't see this really happening. Although, I mean,
he is pushing.
That's not something. I mean, but you have the comfort to do that, right? You're like, what are the chances that phaze is gonna keep doing that and not die? So I don't think he feels too particularly concerned.
I think the problem is though, is like in moments like that, if you do happen to mess it up, and all of a sudden phaze begins his comeback, you don't want to look back at that moment and think, shit, should I have attacked there? Should you just like have actually left it? But
it's just like mosquitoes to a mosquito light, jump pads. You just have to jump on jump pads in this game. You just can't not jump on the jump pad. All right, so I imagine now we're early GG. Not early GG. I mean, it's a GG. What'd you guys think of that map? Any
thoughts or comments, boys?
Yeah, like or Rob, Strong Sage. As we load up into the next one.
I actually kind of think. Oh, go first. Go ahead, Strong Sage.
Well, I really like what we see from RMV. He's playing his best game, how he plays it best, which is just really fast, really aggressive, hitting those rails. And it worked phenomenally on Ruins. I mean, if you can just keep the opponent low constantly on Ruins, it's so hard to come back out of control. But at the same time, I also liked a bit what we saw from phaze, where he kept his composure early, even though he was trailing 4-0, and he was able to mount a pretty impressive comeback. But as soon as RMV got the control again, he was never quite able to crack it. I think that RMV was starting to miss a little bit, and we saw that FaZe definitely had a chance to come back because of that. But this will be a new game, and the Clutch can be an easier champion to hit, which could help FaZe a lot, so it could put more pressure on RMV to hit some of these shots. And the orb also can be a bit of an X factor for Ranger here, so I don't think you can count FaZe out on this map. But at the same time, if RMV's movement is just as smooth and he's able to keep connecting those rails, I think he will take this map too.
Yeah, I kind of think that the breaking point was when RMV was able to get advantages without hitting every shot. I mean, he hit a lot of rails, don't get me wrong, but he also managed to get position and items without hitting those. And if you if you have a stack advantage and don't even need to hit the light champion and still can stop him from grabbing any armor, it's going to be almost impossible to do anything, because then FaZe kind of need to hit 2 or 3 rails to be even on even fighting ground with stack-wise with the Stroke here. But during picks and bans, I actually for Awoken, I actually was thinking about what pick FaZe could make here to make it the least likely that the Clutch is going to be the answer. And I thought, okay, the Ranger might be that, but we got it anyways. What do you think about that matchup, Strong Sage?
Well, first of all, I think that RMV was almost guaranteed to pick Clutch there because he really likes it on the Awoken. Clutch is probably the best pick overall on Awoken if you play it right. And also Clutch benefits that playstyle where you try to rush a lot off the spawn since you have so much stack and speed. But I think the Ranger is a pretty decent counter pick. You don't necessarily have the movement as much. I mean, the orb and rocket jumps are all right, but I think that orb can make it more difficult for Clutch to benefit from those close range engagements, which he likes to do, and may be forced into more of a longer range game plan, which you can definitely exploit as the Ranger. And I think the medium starting stack is also pretty decent, and the hitbox not as bad as the heavy champions. And we see right away, I think that RMV got the favorable spawn because he got both the railgun and the rocket, and now he already has T position, which is the best case scenario for him. So it means that FaZe only with the Tribald and the LG is going to be hard for him to do anything. However, that was a bit of a misplay from RMV that FaZe needs to capitalize on, as the shield is wasted. And that means that FaZe now can quickly push his advantage and almost actually rings out RMV. The orb comes out, he knows he wants to take this LG fight as the shield is not up, and it works out. And he's able to back off onto the Mega.
I think that was closer than it needed to be. And I also had some thoughts about, as we see the shield being used right as it comes off cooldown again, and this time FaZe is not the one to survive. I was going to say, I just thought about, would it be a good thing for FaZe to have starting shotgun instead of the MG, since RMV might be looking to use the speed and the stack he has to get into FaZe's nearer surrounding instead of like taking hit scan fights over medium or long distances. As we just saw, he got railed so freaking hard that all the advantage he had was immediately gone.
Well, personally, I prefer machine gun on Awoken in general. I think that it's more valuable since a lot of the times you can get spawns on the items where you want to have an ability to do long range damage. And I also think against Clutch, I actually prefer the machine gun against Clutch because it hits really hard just like the LG can against him. So that's why I usually prefer that machine gun. Yeah, the shield, I honestly don't... When I play Clutch, I find it better to sometimes save that shield for moments where you need it to win the fights rather than just trying to force the engagement. And we see right there the machine gun, that's why it's so helpful, where you can prevent the Clutch from being able to, when he's low stack after getting a kill, keep being aggressive on items. Since if he had the shotgun there instead of the machine gun, he probably couldn't have prevented RMV from going for rail shots on him, which is really beneficial for Clutch. And we see now FaZe with a really nice amount of control, and he might even be able to catch RMV out here. I think RMV only with 1 health, so
yeah,
see if FaZe can get the finishing shot here.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, right? And then the shotgun is a purely defensive tool and only valuable or more valuable when the clutch would be rushing you down. But yeah. So now FaZe, decent stack, good position. They are fighting over the mega health right now. As FaZe decides to just go in, the shield is running out, and not even the mega pickup mid-fight is able to save FaZe here, as it's just too much. The clutch there is too easy to hit on a fight on that range compared to the Ranger, who
I think we're seeing a lot of misplays from RMV here. On that mega fight, sure, the shield was up, but it's such an easy position for FaZe to hit 100% LG on him, and then also RMV was starting the fight shooting nail guns, so he was losing out on damage. And now we're seeing RMV, while he's trying to be aggressive, FaZe is just, he keeps hitting him with all the LG cells. And once again, RMV pushing off the spawn, and a lot of the times with clutch like that works, but sometimes you gotta stop and think, you know what, I can just play the really slow game as clutch as well. And RMV is not opting to do that, and I think it's really working to his detriment here, as FaZe is constantly just staying like still and hitting those shots on him over and over again and preventing the clutch from getting close up where he wants to be. And that also is somewhat due to the Ranger pick with the orb, which allows for such great repositioning and close range damage.
Yeah, I think slowing it down could have been actually key for RMV here, but he seems to just try to use the starting stack, but he can't even get the heavy there. Like, he basically dealt no damage to FaZe, and after FaZe got the frag, it was super clean.
I think one of the problems here is that RMV is relying too much on that shield and like thinking too highly of it, as a lot of the times he's taking fights with the shield. However, the fights are in such poor positions that the shield almost doesn't even matter, since FaZe is putting out so much more damage than RMV. And then at the same time, a lot of the times after the fights, FaZe is having items to back up to, and meaning that if RMV tries to push the spawn again, FaZe is gonna expect it and just be able to hit him with these LG, HMG rail. And over again, that's happening where RMV, he's not fighting for any kind of items, he's just pushing in. Like, once again, like, what is that? And then the orb, extremely useful, just gonna get himself that mega and get the kill. And this game's already running away from RMV, who, he's actually forced to play really aggressive now if he wants to make a comeback. We do see one rail hit, leaving FaZe really low, and RMV is gonna have to capitalize on this and get some sort of roll, like spawn kill roll going.
I just had a thought about maybe RMV just kept the game at the pace he kept it at, because he didn't get to pick up the railgun. Oh,
yeah,
so
that's a really good
again.
point, that FaZe is doing a great job preventing RMV from getting the railgun. And it's also because RMV is rushing off the spawn from the LG spawn a lot, where the clutch is not very strong against LG, especially if you don't have the shield and like a better stack. And a lot of the times the stacks are even and RMV is just rushing straight forward, and FaZe is gonna do it like 100% LG damage. And you want to play more railgun heavy with clutch sometimes, especially since RMV is so strong with that weapon. And once again, we see RMV with the HMG through the portal. Like, it's just not going to work out when FaZe can hit 100% on you every time. Yeah. And I think that at this... You can go ahead.
I was just trying to keep on to that thought of the railgun, because he managed to get so much value out of it playing around that weapon, even without having hitting much through the entire range on ruins, right? He was like on like 40%, but he still got super much value out of it because he played in a certain way, and now he's just playing like a battering ram, running forward, and FaZe is hitting like 60% LG. So
yeah, and the way he's playing means that, you know, I think one of Clutch's strengths normally is that even though he's easier to hit, just due to the nature of his incredible speed and stack, it puts a lot of pressure onto your opponent to hit those rails, and it makes it a lot harder to do. However, the way RMV's playing this, he's often running in straight lines into LGs, which basically puts zero pressure on FaZe at all to really have to do anything. Like, he can just kind of hold his mouth in one spot with the LG. So it's not playing to Clutch's strengths here. And like here we see the shield is used and he gets the frag, but he doesn't have much health, and phaze here is just gonna have the LG go on the Mega, and now with the orb out is able to kill RMV after grabbing the Mega.
Yeah, that was another good orb, and so far all the fights for Mega, it seemed like, where like one guy was on the item and the other was on T. Like there was no trying to deal damage from Cubby or from Banana or something like this. It's always the same fights, and I feel it looked like Clutch has the hardest or worst time in this in this scenario, because it's just no matter where he's standing, he will always eat like 100% or 70% lightning gun or all the rails or whatever, and he just can't return that damage output at all.
Well, I think it's primarily because of the way that RMV is using the Clutch. The Mega fights, like the fights on the items, are usually good for Clutch, but it's because you're either hiding to the last minute, like you stand behind the wall, and then the moment the Mega comes up, you dash over to it with LG out and shield and get the item and then immediately go over to heavy, you know, that type of stuff. Or you just wait, and then after the opponent picks up the item, you like dash over and try to rail them and make it so it's actually kind of hard for them to hit you, and then you position on heavy. But the way that RMV is often playing it, he's standing wide in the open, or he's coming in with LG not in a position where he can dash onto the item, and it means that he's not taking advantage of Clutch's movement or even really his shield a lot of the time. Like here, he used the shield and it didn't actually do anything for him. I know the game's over, but it still makes a point about how RMV's playing the Clutch right now.
Yeah, it seems like from how I understood what you just said, it's like that RMV needed to play a lot more hit and run, use the movement and the speed to like get angles, move out of it, pick up an item, move out of there. But he kind of fought openly almost the entire map.
Exactly, and that's where Clutch is weakest. If you're standing out in the open, especially if you're not using your dash to like dash between walls or behind cover, it negates a lot of the strength of Clutch. And a lot of the times what makes Clutch so strong is that you literally can't do anything because he's just hiding behind a wall. If you try to push him, he's just gonna pop shield and kill you with rockets or something. And then if you try to like take the long range game, he can use his dash to like quickly peek or quickly get onto items and then hit you back and then immediately get out and have the positional advantage because he's so much faster. But this just wasn't the way that RMV was playing it, and RMV now, he needs to really compose himself for this next map, Corrupted Keep, and he needs to not make the same mistakes, because even though he's not on such a big champion anymore, if he does the same plays, like the Galena, she'll have some totems to heal up on, and if RMV is pushing into that constantly, it could snowball, and he needs to really put himself in harder to hit positions, and positions where he's not all-inning in bad fights as often.
Yeah, I mean, he almost ate 8,000 damage on that map from phaze. That was like the result of not playing hit and run, but just fight until you die for 10 minutes.
I think that also we could have seen some nerves coming out from RMV there. Because I don't think that he normally plays that much, where we just saw so many rushes that really have like a 0% chance of winning, and we didn't see many rails or even many slow plays to get rails. And on Corrupted Keep, we need to see RMV compose himself and play slower. Even, I mean, the way the Death Knight works too, you go for either those burst options, or you put the fire in a place your opponent wants to stand so that they have to put themselves in worse positions. So we need to see a bit of a more composed and slower game from RMV on this map.
Yeah. Zeneker and Odin, what do you think about the Death Knight against the Galena? I personally have the feeling that the Galena is more suitable for CK, because she can control the point of interest a little bit better.
Were you talking to me?
No, I was trying to get
I was muted.
Zeneker and Odin involved.
I'm bugging it up. Also, boys, I think we're switching for this. Scott, if you're there, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Scott, if you muted. If not, it's me and Lyko.
Nah, it's just you. Just kidding. No, I'm here.
It's always me, mate. Well, to answer what Lyko was saying, DK or Galena, I mean, the trouble is that DK probably isn't. It's probably even. But the problem is that the fire just doesn't seem very consistent. I think that's like kind of the grace that I would say Galena is actually better.
Let's start on RMV, Rob.
Okay. But there are moments where you feel like DK is strong when, you know, both players are fighting, fighting for an item. Both players are low, but he's got the tick damage. That has a huge implication. RMV though gonna get the LG spawn. It's gonna push phaze away.
If I'm reading the position of that totem correctly, that's at the jump pad, tribal area. Because generally I see, I mean, on CK anyway. Ooh, that was a nice frame. Okay, stuck. I mean, but that's pretty much the worst position to be in. Generally, you know, playing Galena, it's like you do the totem farm or you do the offensive totem strategy. Yeah. And here we are, the exact same situation. I don't think he wanted to put that totem there. I think that was just, I'm dying. I need to pop that. But looks like he might be trying to build a totem farm here in the middle of the map at that jump pad. Because you never go there unless you're trying to hide, right?
I think what's special about Galena on these particular maps or these matchups is that, you know, with champions that don't have a mobility aspect. Hang on, quick little LG battle here.
Yep. Oh,
I think the flame that time actually destroyed the totem, I think, or it looked like it.
I think you're correct, actually. Yep.
But
really
because
bad
of
position
that,
to be here. I think. I don't.
He's super early for this mega, but
Yeah, I don't know
he's
why.
actually gonna get away with it.
That's pretty shocking to me. I thought for sure RMV would jump down, double the stack. Pretty confident he would have got that frag. But so he should see the totem now. Okay, cool. Because I don't know if he's going to be able to get 3 totems set up because these engagements are brutal. Like this is what I mean. I'm dying. I need to survive. Let's throw down a totem. So.
But RMV at the moment doing a really good job keeping the pressure on, and
Yep.
you know, Galena is one of those, like I said, long-term type of champions. But if you can have a lead and there's no economy for phaze, then it's definitely not going to be. It's definitely not favored for him, I would say.
It feels like the way I'm watching. Well, I was watching phaze play here. He was trying to bring some of the momentum that he had on the Awoken there.
Yeah.
And one of the things about Quake Champions that also you don't realize this until you're playing the game is that you really can't transfer the momentum of, oh, I did really awesome on Awoken, let's go crush it on CK. Well, he's not playing clutch on CK, so he's playing differently now. Like he's got some more potential to just not die instantly.
I think sometimes realizing the scope, or like, how can I say, being able to adjust, because exactly as you said, sometimes players get a little bit in their head, oh, I'll play like clutch, but then you're playing, you know, significantly slower here in the case that he's being DK. But fortunately, phaze he will get the heavy there, and RMV blew his ability, so it didn't work out. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see what RMV does here. He's actually going to try peek, but phaze pushing in.
Wow.
Oh, that shotgun. Another potential kill.
Was that just to do damage before the major item comes up? I mean, because he had no hope of getting that frag, really.
I think it was, but probably not worth it, I would say.
Yeah.
Phaze huge damage there with the HMG. See, now, what does RMV do? He's got no LG to contest. Nice little trap. Now, this is really bad news to RMV. Phaze on the really lot of items on his side of the map, and RMV super low here.
Just chilling in the middle of the map there, trying to figure out what to do. No. Just 1 second too early. And this is what we were talking about, you know, earlier with CK. It's like, I made one mistake. I was 5 frags up. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
So in this particular instance, would you want to use the offensive potential of the totems to keep the momentum going, or would you try to be like, okay, now I'm gonna try to do my totem farm or whatever?
I think in this situation, you probably want to hold on to it because you know, how do I say, RMV's
So
trying
close.
to mount a comeback or he's trying to change the momentum back, so you want to be able to have it with you, but RMV able to hold phase off them.
I mean, that was a close engagement. I mean, it was surprising. Finish it off with the nail gun.
Nice angle from RMV here. Whoa, huge rocket by phase though. And this is close. I mean, we have to realize that the loser of this map is out.
Yep,
You know,
they're
this
gone.
is completely finished. There's no
Yep.
lower bracket. There's no second chances. So both players playing very much of their lives here.
Really putting it out. You know, that neither of them are like, oh, I'm gonna just camp now. You know, play the rail, or not the rail, but the angles game. It's pretty much like punch for punch here, so it's quite exciting. Evenly matched, pretty cool.
Phase does have him kind of trapped. RMV will go for the mega. Does get it. Very quick. And RMV very much on the back foot. Nice little
Awesome,
flame there
awesome.
though.
He doesn't have too many options here. This should be a frag for
RMV just so early though.
Okay, very interesting decisions here. How did he manage to? He's not gonna. Okay.
Oh,
We still had time. I thought he was at least go to the middle of the map to HMG there. Guess not. Is that a mistake on phaze's part, or is that really good work on RMB from just good zoning him out?
I think what was funny there is maybe, I mean, obviously we can see because we can see both the health of both players and where they're standing, but RMV made it really look like he had way more stack than he did, but he was standing on Mega with like 30 HP for 20 seconds almost. So
Maybe Phase was like, damn, did I miscalculate?
yeah, well, pretty much actually, you know.
Oh, what a
huge
trap. What a
Oh, he
trap.
gets stuck.
Wow.
Shameful tactics.
Okay. That's...
How beautiful was that though? Because we thought like, no, FaZe is dead, no, RMV's dead.
I thought it was
So quick there.
ridiculous. So the totem saved his life, obviously, and he hit a hundo rocket right to the chest. So both of them had to leave.
Oh,
Come on.
huge moment here.
Yeah, that was a really good move by FaZe there. I mean, they come into the middle. Go ahead. Oh man.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying to go into the middle position, but to stay out of the predictable. Oh, he's gonna shoot a rocket here. Must have ran out of LG there. I'm assuming, yeah. Because normally you don't want to switch from LG in mid fight, like that. Okay.
RMV a lot of the time using this flame strike, maybe not getting. I mean, it was stops FaZe from pushing, but I think the flame
it
strike
doesn't.
needs to get that damage value.
This
I
is
saw a
bad.
rocket jump,
This is okay.
but FaZe gonna come through hot here, surely.
Yep, he's got it. He knows he should be able to get this frag. Yeah. Dude, RMV is playing right around the rosy like a champ right now. I mean, it was foregone conclusion, but he wasted as much time as possible.
Yeah.
So at this point in the game, right, you've worked so hard to tie the game up. What's like the last thing you can afford to do? I mean, obviously make a mistake, but what does that look like?
Well, potentially almost like this, because here FaZe is kind of overcommitting to this heavy area. He did get good damage off, so it does work out to him, but I think here RMV is probably looking for an explosive trap, you know, maybe with shotgun or with ability, but RMV's just gonna keep pushing. I mean, he's kind of just, he knew he was there, and he just kind of going into it, didn't have the weapons for it.
What
Phase with
the
the
worst
lead.
time to get an overstack too, for RMV anyway. I mean,
Oh, but he keeps pushing!
Wow.
And the nail gun.
clutch nail
Wow.
gun.
Okay. So FaZe with triple stack, got everything he needs. RMV does have an LG, so this game could potentially go for quite a long time in sudden death. We'll see. But I like this by RMV, setting up a trap. phaze not going to go for it.
I think it's, yeah, it's, we might have the deciding right here.
This is
It's,
so
I
tough
think
to
it's
watch.
over. Don't go to tell. Oh my god! It's over. I think RMV's gonna clutch it here, man.
Well,
Getting all the totems out at the same time. Sniper railgun right now, or sniper rail, super rail nail gun. Can't talk
He's
today.
very
No
much-
worries.
very much stuck here though.
But he still kept timing on the items though. Oh boy.
Oh my god, this is so hard to watch, man. Oh my god, he didn't get it!
You lose.
Wow.
Wow, dude. All right, guys, unmute immediately. We gotta react. That's
Holy crap, man.
That's got to be heartbreaking for RMV, but I think it really shows both a lack of experience and a lot of nerves coming out, because we saw, I think he noticed on Awoken correctly that he was way too aggressive, but I think he massively overcorrected, and one of the biggest mistakes you can make, in my experience in Quake, is when you start to completely second guess and you're thinking about every single decision, and you're not making many moves. You're kind of standing still and just trying to play defensive, and that's what we saw from RMV, and it's very familiar to me because, you know, I see it in myself. I see it in Yup a lot, and Yup, you know, notoriously he chokes a lot in these tournaments, even though maybe on paper he's the stronger player. But we saw that with RMV a lot, where he looked very indecisive. He was mistiming items a lot, or standing on items when the opponents, you know, rushing in. phaze was often, almost always, the entire map in control with the higher stack and often making it to items on time. And the main reason it was so close is that RMV was often winning these fights from maybe poor movement or just miracle shots, like we saw the nail gun that was like 100% connection. But ultimately, I think phaze, he had like triple totems, and it just took one fight where he had the stack advantage. RMV mistimed the heavy, and then he was indecisive about the timing. He went through the portal and then tried to drop down, and that was it. And I'm sure RMV is going to be devastated by that loss, but he needs to keep his head up high and focus on the next season. And phaze right now, I'm sure, very happy about that, and he needs to take this momentum into the next game.
Yeah, I think at the start of that map, RMV actually did quite well and played with a lot of method and thought about like how to set up things, because I remember a situation at the start where phaze was pretty weak, but he knew that the red armor light was gone, and then he secured heavy, could delay it, and then he would trap phaze on the upper light armor at between rockets and HMG, and that resulted in him not only denying phaze the resource he needed, which was armor, but also for the next rotation get both major items. But then phaze started to get 2 frags or 3 frags in a row, and all of that went out of the window, and he just started to brawl again for a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think part of the problem was like maybe halfway through that map where phaze, he had a bunch of totems up, he had full control of the mega area, which is the stronger part of the map traditionally. And there was like the later half of the map where RMV looked kind of clueless, and he didn't seem to have a solid game plan for how to regain the control. He often was with, you know, poor weapons and just trying to play defensive on the items, which he often didn't even have the timing on. And it worked all right for a certain amount of time, but you know, eventually phaze was able to break through at the final moments, and RMV was never really able to stabilize and regain any kind of solid control on Mega with like HMG, LG, and that's what ultimately led to his demise.
that was a great series though.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm phaze, I'm like, I need a break. You get a drink of
Yeah.
water, maybe hit the toilet for a minute and be like, woo. But I mean,
I think-
Strong Stage and Zeneca, you've been in that position where like you worked your ass off and just at the last minute you're like lost. I mean, what's the What's the immediate game plan after that? How do you accept a hard loss like that?
I think for me, it's like sometimes like losses in some weird way can actually be good because, you know, I feel like, you know, obviously we always want the best. We want to win all the games, or we want to do it, you know, as best as we can. And sometimes with losses like this, I think you can probably see like a bit of a pissed off RMV. You know, if there is another season for Quake, he's going to come back into it more motivated. Because when you come this close and you have moments like that, you're like, fuck, not again. You know, and it's kind of that different attitude that maybe in those moments he's a bit, you know, a bit sharper. Because for me, like, even in that last situation there, I don't know, he had it, and then he kind of second guessed it, and then he lost it. And it's like, that's it. It just happened so quickly. But I hope it'll be motivating for RMV because obviously he's very, very talented, very skillful player, and yeah, there's going to be more opportunities. I would hope. What would you say? What would you say, Strong Sage, about tough losses?
Sorry, 1 second. I was messaging RMV about it. He's very bummed out about it. I think for
Understandable.
tough losses, I mean, I've suffered some tough losses. I think the biggest loss that I suffered was this was back before I was in QPL and before even the Challenger where I got in QPL, where I was in the North American Challengers, and I lost to Davis, which in the game that would have qualified me for playing in the QPL relegation match. And it was a game where, you know, I was gonna win. You know, I had full control. I trapped Davis, but then, you know, the nerves just kick in, and I make bad moves. I miss all my shots. I keep trying to push him, and I lose, and that was utterly devastating for me. But I think it is a lesson to learn, which is, the game, you're not going to win immediately. You know, I was still pretty new, and it's really a learning process, and a process that also takes, you know, just having to play a lot of matches to gain experience in these higher pressure situations. And it's still something that I really am working on. As you know, a lot of these QPL matches I'm playing where I end up losing, you know, a lot of it comes down to nerves kicking in, and I'm not playing my usual game. But the way you have to look at it is, you know, I'm still new. RMV is still new to the scene. A lot of these guys, including phaze, even have more experience in these situations. So you just have to keep your head up high and take it as a learning opportunity for the future, and know that, you know, next year you can come back stronger and win. And also realize that, you know, clearly RMV, and I think even myself back then when I was playing against Davis, we clearly have what it takes already to win. We clearly have the skill, but it's all about, you know, that experience. And I think that that'll be the sticking point for RMV, and I hope that he competes next year.
I actually remember that match between you and Davis. That was incredibly. It kind of was similar in a sense that at some point both of you just started to play it super smart and brawl it out. I actually remember Deep Embrace, where it was just like everyone hit the craziest stuff ever, and no one ever tried to slow down the game. Just refrag after refrag and stuff like this. And yeah, I guess it makes sense that you say that this is a sign of lack of experience, and that you can learn a lot from it, because what that shows is that the mechanics and that like the base skill set is there, right? You just need to like be able to channel it and use it in the right ways.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
I mean,
guys,
no worries.
I'm just organizing these guys. Would we